Hi guys, welcome back to Garage Gossip. My name is Mara and welcome to today's episode. Obviously we have to talk about Azerbaijan because there's so much to talk about for just this Grand Prix weekend that we're just gonna digest like the whole episode. We're gonna digest the whole Azerbaijan Grand Prix weekend in this episode. And that's the only thing that we're gonna do. But not only for F1, also for F2 because they also had a Grand Prix weekend today. Not today, this weekend. I have to get back into it. I didn't do an episode last week. Last week. Wow. I didn't do an episode last week, so I have to get back into it. But yeah, I'll the more I talk, the more I'll get back into it. Anyway, let's just start with today's episode. Alright, I'm still not sure what I want to start with. Do I want to start with Formula 1 or with Formula 2? Let's start with F2. Because I want to start with F2. Yeah. So before I dive into the actual F2 weekend, we had two new drivers on the grid today. No, why do I keep saying today? This weekend. We had two new drivers on the grid this weekend. And that were the Trident drivers. I knew about Sami Mykhitaryan not being able to finish the whole season, but I didn't know about Max Verstappen not being able to. Maybe at Trident they were just like, you know what, since Sammy is not finishing, Max, you should also not finish, or maybe Max couldn't afford it because that's the reason why Sammy had to stop, because he couldn't afford the last few races of this season. But we had two new drivers, so like I said, we had to say goodbye to Sami Mykhitaryan and Max Verstappen, and instead of them, we got Stenshorn and Van Hoopen. Van Hoopen is obviously, if you can tell by the name, a Dutchman, and Stenshorn is a Norwegian, if I'm correct. Yeah, I know Van Hoopen drove in the F3 Championship this season. Stenshorn, I'm not sure. I honestly didn't really look into him because I didn't know he would be on the grid this weekend. Like, I was just watching the F2 sprint race, and I knew Van Hoopen would be there because I knew about Sammy not being able to finish the season, so I had already looked into who Trident were going to put into his car. So I knew Van Hoopen would be there, and so I already looked into him a bit, and then they said Stenshorn on the commentator said Stenshorn, and I was like, who are we talking about right now? And then I was like looking at the timing pages, and I was like, oh, that's a new driver there. So yeah, I haven't done my research about Stenshorn just yet, but I'm going to do that. Stenshorn, actually, his qualifying was pretty damn great. If he qualified in the top 10, I think he started the sprint race in P3 or something like that. Unfortunately, he didn't finish any of the two races this weekend. Like, that's pretty sad. But he did have a great quali. Van Hoopen didn't really do that well in quali. He also didn't really do that well in the races. He didn't get any points or anything like that. But I'm curious to see more of them too this season. Well, they don't have that many races. There's two races left, I think, in their season. Their next race is in Qatar. Like, we have a 2-month break now in F2 because their next race is in Qatar. Like, that's in November. That's insane. That's after my birthday, I think. I think it's after my birthday. Maybe it's no. It's after. It's after because my birthday weekend is the Las Vegas Grand Prix weekend, and Qatar is after Vegas. Hey, smart me. No. Anyway, quali of F2 did not watch that because I had school. I had school on Friday, so I couldn't watch it. I'm gonna have to miss all the quali sessions of F2 from now on because on Fridays I will be busy, which is pretty sad, but it's okay. It's okay. It's only 2 more races, so I'll survive. I'll survive, you know. I did watch the sprint race, and that first lap, that was intense, and I knew that it would be because Azerbaijan always. I love that circuit. I love that circuit. I think it's one of my favorite circuits. I think it's definitely my top 5, maybe even top 3 favorite circuits, just because the races that we have there are always so action packed. Like, it's a great circuit for overtaking, but it's also a difficult circuit in certain parts. Like, the castle section is really small, and yeah, it's really, the walls are pretty close because it's a street circuit, but it's still also a great place for overtaking. So we have both safety cars and overtaking, and it's just like, yeah, it's such a fun Grand Prix every single time. And for F2, the same. Like, the sprint race and the feature race are always so action packed, and I love it. I love it because I mean, I think we all love an action packed race. I think we rather have like 5 safety cars in one race than a boring race when nobody switches like positions and nothing happens. You know what I mean? So, yeah, the sprint race in F2 was action packed. We had 5 DNFs in total, and 3 of those DNFs happened in lap 1. Yeah. And they didn't even do that many laps. I think they had like 18 laps, something like that. Like, not that much. So, yeah. Yeah, it was action packed. I don't. Who are the drivers? The 3 Red Bull drivers, like Red Bull Academy drivers, all had something happen to them in the first lap. So Gitte, Lindblad, and Marty. Lindblad continued to run, which is pretty great. Gitte and Marty DNF'd. And then who else was involved? Villa Gomez was also involved. And then, so Gitte and Villa Gomez ran into each other, I think it was, something like that, with Lindblad as well in there. Little mix, I think. I'm not so sure anymore. And then Gitte and Villa Gomez DNF'd. And then later, in a later incident, Marty also. He was just like, I think it was just like, because something happened, I think, behind him or in front of him, and he was just a little flabbergasted that happened, and then, wasn't really paying attention. That. that. So yeah, those 3 DNF'd, and then in the later laps, Stenchon DNF'd, because he had, I think, like, something wrong with the car, and then Miney also DNF'd, and I can't remember the reason for that. But it was a fun race. Like, we had a high-tech double podium with Beganovic in P1, first win for Dino. Absolutely insane. I was so happy with that. And then the fact that Luke Browning was in P2 made me that much more happy. Like, happy me. High-tech double podium equals happy me. That's literally how I wrote it down. Like, I even posted it on my Instagram. Like, it's insane how proud I can feel of people that I've never met. Like, it's insane. Like, I even teared up when Beganovic won that race. Because I was just so proud of him. Like, he really deserved it. Because he was so close in Monza last time to winning that race, and then he didn't win it. And so I was really happy that he finally got his first F2 win. I hope he celebrated that with Ollie and with, I don't know if Paul was there, but I hope he was for Alpine. I hope Paul Aaron was there as well. Because I know that's just a bunch of like friends like Ollie, Dino, Paul Aaron. Who else is in that little group? I think Kimi Antonelli is also involved in that group. So yeah, it's just, and then obviously right now Luke Browning as well. Gabriel Mini is also in that little group. So I hope they just celebrate it together. But I don't know. I don't know if they did. I didn't see anything on my Instagram about that. So yeah. And then we had the feature race. Don't really have a lot to say about the feature race. It was, I don't know if it was like as action packed as a sprint race, because I just can't remember. It happened yesterday, and I can't remember already. Yeah, I know, it's pretty bad. The only thing that I do know is that it was the perfect race of Crawford. His pit stop, perfectly timed, perfect pit stop. When he did his pit stop, and at the same time, Fornaroli did his pit stop because it was under a safety car. So they can do a pit stop under the safety car, not under the virtual safety car, but under the safety car they can. And so they had a safety car, went into the pits. Fornaroli went in first because he was in the lead, and then Crawford went in after him. And Crawford's pit stop was better than Fornaroli's. So he got out before, and it was just perfect. And then those last few laps where Dirksen was so close to getting Crawford, and he didn't, which is insane because Dirksen had DRS and Crawford didn't, and we all know how powerful the DRS is in Azerbaijan. So it was a perfect race for Crawford, and he really deserved that win. It also moved him 2 places up in the championship, which I'm personally not that happy with that because I really want Luke Browning to win the championship, but yeah, the chance is still there for Luke to win. I think right now we have a 4-way fight for the championship. Fornaroli in first, Crawford in second, Browning in third, and then Verschoor in fourth. And I think Dunn is in fifth, but I don't think he can win the championship anymore. Yeah, that's everything I had on F2. Like I said, their next race is in Qatar, which is a long time from now, but I'll be sure to watch that because, yeah, it's just F2 this season. F2 is so much fun. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I've been really enjoying it. Now, let's move on to Formula One. Okay, so F1. I didn't watch any of the free practices, so we're just gonna skip those. Okay, we're just gonna skip those. Let's just start with quali, the 2-hour quali session that we had. Yeah, yeah. I have written down a few of my takeaways, and we're completely skipping Q1 because all the drivers, well, except for Alex Albon, all the other drivers, I expected them to go out in Q1. Alex, I really expected Alex to be I expected Alex to be in Q2, but he made that mistake and then crashed and obviously didn't continue, which I think he felt pretty bad. Seeing where Sainz was, I think he felt pretty bad. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to Q2 because yeah, I've written down Hamilton in P12. I honestly don't know how he got there because let me be honest with y'all. I watched Q1, right? And I watched the start of Q2. And then I was like, it's all getting a bit much. It's pretty boring as well. I'm just gonna close my eyes because I'm feeling tired and I'm just going to listen. And that's exactly what I did. Closed my eyes and I listened. And so I completely missed the reason why Hamilton went out in Q2, like why he wasn't P12. But I have written it down as a takeaway because I didn't expect him to be there because they were really doing great. Like in the free practice sessions, and then in Q1, they also were at the top of the timing page. So yeah, didn't expect him to be there. Same applies to Charles Leclerc. Didn't expect him to be in P10, but obviously he had that crash. I was really hoping him to say I'm stupid. If anybody, gets the link.
I am stupid. I am stupid. I switch off everything.
I was just like, come on, Charles, say it, say it, say it, say it. And then the commentators mentioned it, and I was like, yes, okay, I take that as a win. I take that as a win. Yeah. P10, Mr. Charles Leclerc. I really thought he would be on pole. To be honest, Charles Leclerc in Azerbaijan quali, yeah, that man on another whole other level. He's been on pole the last 4, well, not including this one obviously, but the last 4 Grand Prix there. So I was really expecting him to be on pole again, but he wasn't. So yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah. And then Piastri in P9 did not expect that to happen. I saw the crash, and all I thought was, oh my god, oh my god, Lando, 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 we can be world champions. Lando, we can be world champions, I said. Lando! Yeah, I did feel bad for Oscar. I do want to say that I did feel bad for Oscar. But I was really rooting for Lando. And then Lando finished in P7, and I don't know what happened there. Honestly, I don't know what happened there. I, yeah, don't have a clue what happened there, because it's not like the track wasn't up to it, right? Because Max Verstappen put his lap after Lando did, and he got pole. So it's not like it was the track, I think. Maybe it was because Lando was the first one to cross the line, but yeah, it was not fully the track. I think it was also a little tap he did to the wall. That was not ideal, but yeah, I did expect him to be higher up. Lawson in P3, insane. Yeah, because we saw Lando come in and we saw George come in, and everyone was just high up. And I really didn't expect Lawson to set such a good lap, because for Carlos, he set his lap. Carlos in P2 was also absolutely insane. Carlos set his lap before we had all the red flags and the rain and everything like that, right? And it's still an insane lap. It's still an insane lap. But I don't think he did another lap after everything, and Lawson did. And I think, yeah, we're not looking at that enough. Like, we should, because everybody's just like, oh my god, Sainz in P2, oh my god, Sainz in P2. Let's also look at Lawson in P3. Like, come on, that man got there as well. In a car that I don't know what position racing bulls are in, like, the championship, but I don't think they're that high up. Actually, maybe they are, because Isaac did score a lot of points in Zandvoort for... I'm looking it up now, because I do need to know. I actually should also always have this open. Where do I need to... I don't know. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Team standings. Okay, so Racing Bulls are in P... Okay, they are high up. They're in P6. Still. It's still, yeah, a pretty insane lap that Lawson did that. And I think we were not, congratulating him enough for that performance. And like I said, Carlos Sainz in B2, my Williams heart really, yeah, was happy. I obviously was a little bit sad about Lando not being higher than P7. And then seeing Carlos in P2 really made me very happy. And then the Grand Prix. Yeah. So I had to rewatch it, right? I had dance practice at the time of the Grand Prix. So I had to rewatch it. And I was home and my dad said to me, like, I can spare you a lot of time. I was like, no, don't, because I will rewatch it anyway. And then he said, the first 3 laps are interesting, and after that it's pretty boring. Listen, I didn't think this Grand Prix was boring, to be honest. We've had more, like, we've had Grand Prix that have been more boring than this one this year, like this season. Like, yeah. Obviously the first lap was insane. Yeah, Oscar Piastri crashing. That really made me believe in Lando Norris. Really made me believe in Lando Norris. And I need to talk about this, okay? First things first, it wasn't Oscar's weekend at all. Like, not at all. Not his weekend. Not a weekend to forget for him. And I can't help but wonder if it's the pressure that's getting to him. I don't know. But it's one of the first thoughts that got up and, like, that popped up in my head. Is it because his quali was bad? His race, even worse? Is it pressure, or is it just not really being there mentally that weekend? I don't know. I do have to talk about Andrea Stella as well, because that is pure karma for that man. I don't know if you saw the clips of Andrea Stella like this, behind his hand, laughing, smiling, when Lando's car gave up in Zandvoort. He was not that happy when Oscar crashed this weekend. And I just say pure karma. Because, yeah, Andrea Stella is a clear favorite, and it is Oscar Piastri. And I think every person that works for a Formula One team will probably have a favorite, but it's not fair towards Lando that you are laughing and smiling when his car breaks down, while he can't do anything about it. You know what I mean? I feel when you are that of an important person to a team, you should support both drivers, and you shouldn't have a clear favorite. Obviously, we are human, we will always have a favorite, but I don't feel like we should out it. You know what I mean? Like, Andrea Stella shouldn't be smiling when Lando's car breaks down. He shouldn't be smiling. And yeah, that being said. Okay, let that be said. We also need to talk about Lando's pit stop. Like, yeah, Max Futrell also spoke up about this. He's one of Lando's best friends. And, yeah, I feel like we should speak up about it, because it's always Lando. And you can come at me now and say, oh, another Lando fan, another Lando girly. I don't care. Come at me. I don't freaking care. It is always Lando that has the bad pit stops. What do you mean? Oscar Piastri last week out in Monza, like previously in Monza, 1.91 seconds for a pit stop, and Lando's pit stop gets messed up there. This weekend again, Lando's pit stop gets messed up again. What do you mean? What do you mean? And I know they have different pit crews, but still, I really think that McLaren need to sort out that game. Like, they need to sort themselves out, because what the hell is happening? Honestly, what the hell is happening? McLaren as a team, not only Interstellar, but McLaren as a team, are really outing who their favorite driver is and who they want the championship to win. Because if Lando didn't have that shitty pit stop this weekend, he could have scored more points. And I'm pretty sure of that. Because then he wouldn't have been behind Tsunoda. He wouldn't have been behind Charles, not behind Lawson, maybe behind Lawson, but he would have had a better chance to fight with those three drivers. And now he didn't really have a chance. I mean, he got past Charles, but yeah, nobody else. So yeah, McLaren really needs to sort out that game. Because I, as a McLaren fan, I'm not really feeling supportive of the team anymore. I'm really leaning closer and closer to switching favorite teams, because what the hell is happening there? I will always support Lando, always. He will be one of my favorite drivers forever and ever. But what the hell is happening at McLaren? Yeah, I'm really close to switching over to Williams as my favorite team. Williams is in my second place of favorite teams, but it's really close to stepping up to the top step, because if McLaren keeps going like this, I can't support them any longer, because what the helly? Genuinely, what the helly? Yeah. Then I also need to congratulate George Russell, because that man executed his strategy to the perfection. It was just, yeah, perfection, like I said. Yeah, I had a little bingo spot on my F1 bingo this year for this season, saying like George Russell refers to team strategy as a learning opportunity. They don't need to learn anything anymore. That strategy, perfect. I feel like we always have one driver or like one certain team that executes their strategy for that weekend perfectly. Like in Zandvoort, it was Haas. In Monza, I don't really know what team it was. Maybe it was Max Verstappen, maybe. But this weekend it was definitely George Russell and Mercedes. Yeah. George Russell started in what, P5 or P6? Maybe P4 actually. P5 or P4. Finished in P2. Yeah. Well done. Well done, George. Well done. Also well done to Carlos Sainz. I mean, I did not expect a Williams driver to be on the podium this season. I'm so curious to open my preseason predictions at the end of the season because I need to know what I wrote down. Like, if there's anything that happened this season that I predicted. Because Hulkenberg on the podium this season already, Hadjar on the podium this season already, Antonelli on the podium this season already, Sainz on the podium right now as well. Like, it's insane. We're really close. Actually, how many drivers in total have we had on the podium? So we have those four. Then we have Lando, Oscar, Max. George has already been on the podium. I think Charles has also already been on the podium. Is that everything? Is that everything? Wait, let me get my journal. Let me get my journal. Okay, so we have Norris, Verstappen, Russell for Australia. I'm not counting sprint races, okay? Yeah, we're not doing sprint races. Then in China, we also had Piastri on there. Japan, nobody knew. Bahrain, nobody knew. Saudi Arabia, we had Leclerc. Miami, nobody knew. Imola, nobody knew. Monaco, nobody knew. Spain, nobody knew. Canada, we had an Antonelli, so that's 7. Austria, nobody knew. Silverstone, we had Hulkenberg, so that's 8. Belgium, nobody knew. Hungary, nobody knew. Zandvoort, we had Hadjar, so that's 9. Monza, nobody knew. And then now in Azerbaijan, Sainz. So 10 different drivers on the podium already this season. If we can make it to 15 drivers on the podium this season, that would be really incredible, actually. Like, I would really, yeah, I would be here for that. But like, what else? Like, who else could be on the podium this season? Maybe Fernando Alonso. Maybe we could have Fernando Alonso on the podium this season. I don't know. Or like Lewis Hamilton. I would really love that. Yuki, but I don't see him there. I mean, he has the car. But I don't know if he has the performance in him. Talking about Yuki, we do need to give him a shout out. Same as Lawson, we do need to give them a shout out because P5 and P6 for them is really incredible. Both their season's best results. I think also their career best. So yeah, well done to them because they had an incredible race this weekend as well. So yeah. And then there's one person that I do still need to talk about, and that's Franco Colapinto. His weekend, I can't really remember where he ended up. So he qualified in P16 and he ended the race in P19, which is basically lost because Piastri didn't finish. Yeah, his time in F1 is really coming to a close. We saw, I don't know if you've watched the F1 TV like broadcast this weekend, but after his crash in quali, they put Flavio Briatore in the frame, and he was saying stuff, and he was like, So really thinking Franco's time in F1 is really coming to a close anytime soon. They have said that it's between Franco and Paul Aaron for next season. The seat for next season is between Franco and Paul. So maybe if Franco continues to, if he maybe scores points in the next race, I mean, the next few races he has driven at. So he has done Singapore, he has done Austin, he has done Mexico, Brazil, Las Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi. He has done all of those races last season. So maybe that will give him a confidence boost because he knows the circuit. But I mean, it's not like you can say that Pierre has scored a lot of points in the last few Grand Prix, right? Pierre finished in P18 this weekend. Last weekend as well, in Monza, Colapinto in 17th, Gasly in 16th. I mean, they are really closely matched. The Netherlands actually, and we do need to talk about like Gasly in P17 and Colapinto in P11. That's actually like, if it was the other way around, I'm pretty sure Colapinto would have already been out of the seat. But it's not the other way around. And yeah, for the last few races, Colapinto has outperformed Gasly. So Hungary as well, Gasly in 19th and Colapinto in 18th. So yeah, it is really a curious little thing to look at. I don't know if it's a great idea to put Paul Aaron in that car. I mean, I love him. I love Paul, and I would really be happy if Paul gets an F1 seat. But it also doesn't feel right towards Jack Doohan. Like, he has devoted so much of his time to Alpine as team, and he doesn't get another opportunity to show what he is in them. He did a few races at the beginning of the season, didn't really perform that well. I mean, Flavio Briatore has said that they made the decision way too quickly to pull Jack out of the car and to put Franco in it again. But why is he then not putting Jack back in the car? Like, I don't get Alpine. Honestly, man, I don't get what is happening at Alpine. They signed Pierre Gasly again for next season, which I think that was a smart decision to sign Pierre. Pierre also didn't really have another place to go if he wanted to drive next season. But yeah, I don't know. I need more clarity from Alpine. Yeah, and I think with that, I'm gonna end this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. No, actually, that's not true. I I do need to talk about Charles and Carlos because I don't know if you've seen the clip on Charles's Instagram. It was posted yesterday evening, I think.
So after a very difficult weekend in Baku, I thought he couldn't get any worse, but look at you! Where are we, Carlos?
In the middle of Italy.
Why?
We were diverted for a storm. We couldn't land in Nice.
Exactly.
So we landed in the middle of Italy.
Yes.
We rented a van. And now we are on our way to Monaco.
Oh, nice.
There's this clip. It wasn't Charles's story. It's not going to be on there anymore when this episode comes out. Obviously, because that's not how Instagram stories work. But Charles and Carlos took a plane together from Azerbaijan to Nice. At least that was the plan. But they weren't allowed to land in Nice. Instead, they landed somewhere in Italy because there was extreme weather conditions in Nice, so they weren't allowed to land there. So they landed in Italy. They rented a van to drive from the middle of Italy to Nice in France. And Charles posted it on his Instagram. And in that clip, Carlos is saying something like, if I speed, then we'll be there in this much time. And then he was like, oh, no, I'm not gonna speed, because Charles was filming. And it's such a funny clip. And I love that little Carlos moment that we got there. Because Charles didn't have a great race, but Carlos did. And I love that they're still great friends. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And that is the end of today's episode. I needed to finish with something light. I needed to finish with something light. So that is it. That's it for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. You on YouTube, you will see me again next week. I don't know what I will talk about, but I'll figure it out. So yeah, you on YouTube, you will see me again next week. You on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you are listening to right now. You are listening to this right now. Yeah. You will hear me again next week. Bye!